Hello, everyone. Welcome to what do we call this? The cyber signing, the Cyberverse signing. With
cyber signing is great.
Cyber signing is great.
Cyber
I
signing.
like that.
Synergy there.
Good. On the spot.
Yes. My name is Gavin Hignite. I had the great pleasure of writing on 4 seasons of Transformers Cyberverse with Randolph Hurd and the rest of the team, and working with these amazing voice actors that are on today. I was pleased, Jeremy, thank you for inviting me to participate with everyone. Let me just get right to the introductions. So, Bumblebee, Jeremy Levy. Jeremy, not just Bumblebee, who else have you voiced?
I also do Wreck and Ruin, and Jetfire, and Perceptor, and Whirl. And
what's Whirl's catchphrase? I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you probably just recorded that once and then you just kept looping.
That was it.
Right?
They call me one take Levy. That's it. You only get one take out of me.
Okay, well, you can't have a Cyberverse Bumblebee without Shadow Striker to torment him for seasons and seasons and seasons, which brings us to Deanna McGovern. Hello.
Hey, happy to be here.
And I was telling Deanna before we went live, just how everyone on the Cyberverse team, how Shadow Striker is precious to us. She's one of our favorite characters, and we just love how her arc evolved. So thank you for bringing great performance to that.
Thank you. I enjoyed every second of it. Thank you.
And speaking of great performances, see that little segue there. Jamie Lamchick, who you may know as RC.
Hi.
And Chromia, which blows my mind. I don't think I realized that.
Oh yeah, I've got a little hive of them. I'm RC. I can't do the thing that Jeremy does, where just like knock into it on the spot.
Me neither.
RC Chromia. Nope, it's not going to happen. Too ridiculous. And then I also do Alpha.
You nailed it, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you so much. Honestly, this is why they, this is what I'm known for. I'm an actor. And then I also have Alpha Strike, Nightbird in the new episodes, which is super fun.
Yeah, we love Nightbird.
Yeah,
right.
We love us some Nightbird and Acid Storm.
Well, and we love Acid Storm. Well, I was going to say one of our favorite moments in the finale that we stopped and maybe patted ourselves on the back a little about and got really excited was the scene where Chromia comes charging into battle RC comes skidding into battle on Chromia. That was like for you, that's weird. It's like you're riding on top of yourself for a moment. But
yeah. Anytime I have to confront myself on the show, I'm just like, this is the energy that I hope to bring to my daily life.
Like the split personality thing is finally going to pay off.
I'm really starting to vibe with that. It's really helped me in my own mind.
Oh, good. Well, and speaking of vibing and of RC, that brings us to Grimlock, aka Ryan Andes, aka Shockwave. It's a good thing you had Grimlock since Shockwave got killed off, huh?
I mean,
spoiler alert.
I mean, yeah, if you haven't seen it, sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry, guys. No way. You know what? It's the Allspark. We all come back. It's true. It's a recycling energy.
Just recycled, right? No, man. I'm just jazzed to be here. I got to say this whole thing, doing the show and meeting you guys has just been such a great thing. I revisited the show recently, and I just keep getting more and more entertained by it, especially the fun friendships that happen within the show between characters. And I gotta say, the one that I find the most entertaining, two actually, Wheeljack and Shockwave, hilarious, and RC and Grimlock.
My favorite thing.
The episode, the adventure episode that we have is quite possibly one of the funnest episodes.
It's like one of my favorite things I've ever done in my career. I love it so much.
Totally. Well, totally agree.
For us as writers, we get to have fun on the adventure in the room. It's getting passed back and forth. And Randolph's energy, I mean, that episode is just pure 110% Randolph Hurd. And
Perfect.
The fact that we got to enjoy it in the room, and then we get to enjoy your performances of it, and then we get to enjoy the animation of it. It's like we get to enjoy it in 3 different times. And then
So cool.
we get a call and we get to like do another special and put you two together to end the series off. I mean, that
So
was
great.
that was a gift for us as creators, and we hope the audience got to enjoy it too.
It was certainly a
Yeah.
gift for us.
Absolutely for us. Yeah.
Yeah,
Truly.
so fun. So many of the bits of Frozen Chromia Frozen RC being carried around, or
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't.
There's the fish shaking to the camera moment, like, why?
Yeah. Well,
I love when the show embraced that kind of campiness.
Yeah.
So
I love that it could run the gamut from being that campy to being extraordinarily heartfelt, and to being exciting, and to being borderline scary sometimes too.
Yeah,
I was occasionally surprised at how dark the show could get. The scene of Bumblebee getting his voice box ripped out by Megatron, I still get chills when I watch that thing.
Yeah.
Like tonally, the show was all over the place, but it gelled in a way that I think makes it very unique and original as a Transformers property.
Totally.
I totally agree with you. And seeing it now as a whole complete, I couldn't agree even more. Right? I don't understand how we bounced around in all those tones. And I will say that scene, Jeremy, that you brought up, I mean, that was just Boulder, just rocking. You know, you intend things on the page and you hope for the best, and then when it's directed and produced right, oh my gosh, it made us. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I remember reading that in the scripts, and it was one of the first scripts, so I just started reading the script, so I was still kind of getting an idea of what the show was going to be. And once I read that scene, I was like, oh, this show's good. Oh, this is good. Like it's really going to get into it. It's really impactful. That's when I knew A, how good the show was going to be, and B, to expect the unexpected. I was like, you have no idea where this show is going to go. You don't know the turns it's going to take. You don't know who's going to live. You don't know who's going to die. You don't know when it's going to make you smile. You don't know when it's going to punch you in the gut.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, yeah. It still stays with me to this day.
Same. And I'll add to that, one of the nice things about the Transformers legacy is that it's a franchise where you're just as invested in your antagonist as your protagonist. And in modern times, we've been able to humanize both sides, both factions, and both of their concerns, and get into no one's necessarily bad all the time, right? And there are friendships from before the war, like Wheeljack and Shockwave, and I could go off about my love for all that stuff forever, and I won't, because we have questions and hopefully some answers and autographs. But I will say that all of y'all just brought it to life in such a wonderful way. And as an animation writer, we write it and kind of move on, and we don't get great moments like this. So I'm so excited to do the stream where I can see your faces and get to know the people behind the voice, because sometimes from where we're at, we don't. So this is fantastic. Thank you for putting this all together, you guys.
Thanks for being here,
dude.
I'm going to try to just get through our crazy comments here and questions and lead them to some of you guys. I saw one that left out that I wanted to jump on immediately, which is from Fate Lift 1987. Do I need to pay for an autograph to have my questions answered? I believe that answer is no.
Nope.
These guys are signing. If you would like to get an autograph, you can find the link at the bottom of the description, and you can just follow that link and sign up. But questions and stuff, I'm just going to try to read through and field the questions to these wonderful people as they sign.
I will also remind everyone that proceeds are going to benefit the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research. So if you buy an autograph, it is for a good cause. Sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease that my mom unfortunately has. So it's a cause that's near and dear to my heart. So this kind of came as a way to sort of shed some lights on the disease. So go check out the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research, and get an autograph. We're gonna make some money for him.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jeremy.
Very cool.
And in the description, do we have links for the foundation and all that? If we don't, we'll make sure everyone has it by the end of our.
It's on my. If you go to my Twitter page at Mr. Jeremy Levy, in my pinned tweet, there's all the information for Stop Sarcoidosis.
Well, that's perfect, and everyone should be following Jeremy on Twitter anyway. So
yeah, seriously,
quality follow.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let me scroll through here. Question. Okay, let me see how. Okay, this is a good one. So, Turbo Blue Streak. Blue Streak character. I've tried to get into both Transformers projects I've worked on, and I've been unsuccessful. Love Blue Streak. Anyways, how did the audition process go? Who did you read for, and what inspired your take on the characters you voice? We'll start with you on that one, Ryan.
Yeah, the audition process was, I remember being kind of multifaceted. We didn't. It wasn't just a one and done kind of thing. I remember going in to read for Randolph and I think a few others remotely, because we were reading in New York and Randolph and the team were in LA for the most part.
Yeah, probably Randolph and Mike Hauser, right? At
it was Mike Hauser.
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
Yeah. And Dan, I think Dan was part of some of those at some point.
Oh yeah.
Dan Salgado.
Who, by the way, is hardcore writer and production guy, but he needs to be doing some voices. He would do voices for us in the room.
Man.
Oh, cool.
Dan, if you're out there, I've just outed you as a good voice actor. So.
Yeah, we are ready to have our jobs stolen. So thank you.
I know, right?
And he can do it all. It's not
now.
Yeah.
No,
and so you did that remotely, right, Ryan?
Yeah, we did those remotely. And I remember, I went in for Grimlock a few times, and then I had like a whole separate slew of auditions for Shockwave, and then I think it was like a week or two before we heard anything. There was a good amount of time between some of these auditions and the results of the auditions. But it was like a very, very cool thing to find out that I had booked these roles, because these were characters that I grew up, playing with when I was a kid. So it was kind of like a dream come true.
It was for the production side as well. Randolph had a very specific vision for Grimlock, and as everyone knows, he has two different sides. There's the Bruce Banner, and then and it was never Bruce Banner. It was always someone much more charming. And right. We knew it was like, it was love at first hear. Like we knew when he played that to the room. Oh, this is our Grim. Yeah. Deanna, how about you? What was the process like for you?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Ryan, because I was also in New York. I think we all were. So that process was very similar. I'm remembering, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I read for Windblade. I read for a few of the female characters. So I kind of on both sides, and then was called back for Shadow Striker. And for the audition, and Gavin, you may be able to shed some light on this too. I was reading it with her having two voices at the time. So like a version of her being a little bit more put together, and then this like alter ego would come out where there were some cracks and, showing more of that brokenness in her. So I actually read for it as one character with two voices. But then once we got into actually recording it in the sessions, that evolved and that changed. So that was like something that really stuck out to me, and working with the casting director, Jen Suckup at the time, and really kind of balancing those and finding those two voices. So it was a nice, like longer audition session than some stuff that I've, been used to in the past. So it was kind of cool. It was a more creative audition process.
Cool. Let me ask this while we're all here. Shadow Striker at the beginning and Shadow Striker at the end of the series. Did you feel a difference? Was there a different approach? How was that transition for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think just me personally, I kind of found my bearings with her as we were going along. and maybe more like maturity was brought to that throughout the seasons. Just, you know, there was a little bit more youthfulness maybe to her at the beginning, and that kind of evolved into a little bit more, you know, sure of herself and a little bit more mature and a little bit more in charge. And I think I found that as we kind of went through the seasons.
That's interesting.
But
Yeah.
I loved playing her.
Yeah. Well, we, like I said, she's a favorite of ours, and you feel it in that, especially in that final special. You feel that commanding, more calm. She's
Yeah.
refound herself for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but never
Agreed.
loses that like shadow striker ness, which is great.
Yeah.
Like she always has that sort of edge to her, but like you
And those like smart aleck jabs, you know, just her response, like, what do you think? You know, always
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
calling
think
people out like that.
edge is such a good word for it, Jeremy, because yeah, she never loses it. I hope we see her live on in other versions, you know, now that she's part of the legacy. Jeremy, how about you? What was the
Absolutely.
audition process like?
So it was interesting because initially I was brought in to read for Bumblebee in Rescue Bots Academy. And I didn't even know that Cyberverse existed. I don't know if that's because people were kind of playing it close to the vest. But initially I got a call from Jen because they were looking for Bumblebee, and they weren't looking. They're you know, if you watch Rescue Bots Academy, it's clearly like related to Rescue Bots, but it sort of goes in kind of its own direction. So they wanted a Bumblebee that was like kind of reminiscent of Will Friedle, but they didn't want like a sound alike. But my voice kind of, you know, I sort of live in that Will Friedle-ish kind of place. So she came to me, and I was watching Rescue Bots, and I was sort of crafting a Bumblebee that was more in the vein of like the Rescue Bots Bumblebee, which is like sort of older, kind of more of a leader, like sort of a little like more grizzled, I guess, if Bumblebee could be grizzled. And I read for that. And then I moved on for that. And then I heard that they wanted to use the same actor for Cyberverse. And that was when I first heard that existed. So I think I didn't read any of the scripts for Cyberverse in my first couple auditions. I think they were old.
Oh, right.
Like other Transformer shows. And I still kind of had that sort of like older, more heroic, more grizzled Bumblebee voice. And then I got a call back, and I finally got to see the first script for Cyberverse. And I read it, and I was like, that's not this guy. Like, that's not this Bumblebee. Like, this Bumblebee is not like, he's not like this sort of like older, sort of square-jawed,
Right.
like leader character. Like, he's much more youthful. He's sort of like a little brother character. He's got kind of a more like childlike innocence to him. So I went in there and like completely changed up my performance for the callback. It was nothing like I'd done before. And it worked. Like, it worked with the script. He, like, Bumblebee has like kind of a lot of nuance because he can be that sort of like, he can have that sort of kiddish quality. He can also have that sort of heroic leadership qualities. So I kind of found the shades of gray in all of that, but I found it in the audition process. And I think I came in like 3 times before I got the part, because y'all wanted to make real sure. So yeah, and eventually I wore you down. Which is
well, as you do. You wore us so down that they added more characters.
That's true. Then I just started collecting them.
Was there a character that you were like, really? You really want me to do this one? Was there one that leapt out that was like so like out there compared to like your normal B, or?
Probably Rack and Ruin.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I would have expected like Ryan to do like, because Ryan usually has like the bigger, like the big boys.
Yeah,
the big boys. Because
the bravado.
Ryan's a big boy.
A big boy.
He's a big boy.
Large man.
So I kind of, and usually like for those characters, we would get first crack at them. So at the end of our sessions, they would be like, hey, we got some new characters coming up. You know, would you mind like giving this a read and like seeing what you would do with it? So I asked like a little bit about Rack and Ruin, and they were like, oh, well, you know, he's a Constructicon. And I, at the time, didn't really know what that was, but I pictured like sort of a New York construction worker.
Right.
So
I mean, that's, yeah.
like kind of one of these, you know? Hey,
Yeah.
he had first he had kind of an accent to him, and they were like, "Yeah, lose the we like that, but like lose the accent."
That's right. Yeah.
So I have fun with him. I love playing Rack and Ruin. I didn't think that it would fall on my plate, but now I have a blast with him, and I get to make myself real big every time I play him.
Yeah. Rack and Ruin are. I can't believe we got a toy of Rack and Ruin. I'm a big toy collector, as everyone knows, and I just kept thinking, there's no way they're going to make a toy of this two-headed, like combined torso, and they made it, and I have it on my shelf, and I love it. So, anyways, Jamie,
Awesome.
your audition process, and then also, adding on characters, was it similar for you?
Yeah. Like Deanna, I auditioned for Windblade. I auditioned for Shadow Striker. I was pretty clearly not the right choice for either of those. The first thing that I actually got cast to play was Acid Storm.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Didn't even end up being like, I didn't know how prominent the character was going to be. I didn't know how much she had to do, how much they had to do.
Yeah.
And after I had already been cast as Acid Storm, I came in for a session. We got pretty much everything done right away. And then I think I was asked to read for Arcee. And I knew that I wanted to differentiate her. I knew that she had a totally different energy. And there was just something about her that felt so, I don't know, the word that comes to mind is just pink. But it's not just about the color. It's just about this like energy that's full of like lightness and joy. And I think, I don't know, I think I just tapped into that and how much fun she has with everything that she does. And when I got to
fresh take,
you
know, very fresh take.
That's the thing. Like, this is a character that actually has a lot of darkness, like in her history. And there have been versions of her famously where she's not pink and bubbly. In fact, she's usually not bubbly at all. But something about the joy and the playfulness of the writing, I just was like, I know this girl. I know exactly who this girl is. This girl is like fun and wacky and like and a badass also.
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
ready to make it
and
happen.
She doesn't need to prove it.
No, exactly.
She is. Yeah.
She is not pink in spite of being a badass. She's just both of those things naturally.
Yeah.
And more stuff got added on afterwards. I got to do Chromia, which again, I was like, we have to find a way to make this a completely different voice. And
absolutely.
Which I think is actually a lot closer to how I talk. I don't know. Sometimes I think Arcee sounds really different from me. And other times I'm like, no, that's just me. That's just me out there. But in terms of adding on more characters, the ones that the sort of last two to come on were the ones that were the most surprising to me. Alpha Strike, which is a totally different voice for me. You know, she's all the way down here. And she's like, I was picturing kind of like a giant muscly, like pro wrestler. I wanted somebody who sounded just like take you out in one punch. And then in the most recent specials, getting to do Nightbird, which the brief for Nightbird I will remember was a female Batman.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh,
so I was like, this is my chance to like get into my Ryan Andes register. This is my chance to like, you know, go all the way. And I remember leaving that session and being like, I feel like I just swallowed a bunch of knives, but it's going to sound really cool.
Yeah. I think that we on that was of the group of the that faction of the kind of bounty hunter-esque third faction. She was the hardest character for us to figure out, voice wise, because you never want to fall into tropes, and you don't want to, you don't want to generalize, and you want to give everyone a unique. And I remember for the writing team, I think Nightbird was the last one we really figured out, and then that, as you said, female Batman clicked. Yeah. Such a fun character.
It was so fun too, because she's a sort of a repaint of Arcee, but where Arcee is all like sweetness and light, I got to go to the exact opposite part of my range to do Nightbird, who's like this cool goth, like freaky version of her.
Totally.
And they are about as different as my voice gets. So that was such a treat. And they do talk a little bit to each other.
Yeah.
I was watching that like they're me. They're both me. It's so cool.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I love in Transformers when you get like the repaint type characters. And if all our friends at Hasbro are listening, we would like a Nightbird toy, please.
Please. Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. That would be great. And a really nice deluxe Shadow Striker too, please. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Scrolling through. So how should we do an autograph? Should we do an autograph?
Yeah, let's I was thinking maybe let's chime in with some autographs.
Okay. Jeremy, we'll start with you.
And we're gonna keep the conversation going. We're gonna keep chatting, keep talking, and pepper in some autographs. So I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna do one for Magal. Is Magal out there? Are you there? Magal wanted a Jetfire.
Get that nice and close to the cam for us. There we go. Oh yeah.
No.
I did not think this through.
no.
There it is.
It looks like a
Yay.
1980s music video. The way you.
I did not think this through. Well, full disclosure, I was telling everyone I'm actually at my parents' house. I was not planning on being at my parents' house in New Jersey, but we had a family event run long, and Mom was like, "Why can't you just do the signing here?" That's how my mom talks. So I was like, I got to put on a background so they don't see that I'm like at my middle-aged.
You don't want people to know that Bumblebee still lives with his parents?
I don't live at home,
okay.
guys.
No, it's nice. I'm
So
glad
this is-
y'all are having a good holiday.
It really doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of. Yeah.
So that's a Jetfire one.
Well, it's very psychedelic. I
Thank
kind of
you.
like what's going on there. While you're signing that, this is not a question, it's a statement from Autobot Sonic. RC and Grimlock's friendship was so cute in season 2! !
It's my favorite thing. I refer to
It
you
was.
sometimes as my I call you sometimes my robot work husband.
The robot BFF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robot.
Oh, and
adventure,
then
buddy.
MXopolis, the RC and Grimlock friendship is so fun! Exclamation
It's the
point.
best.
Aw.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that people loved it as much as we did because it's just my
Oh,
favorite thing.
It shows in the performance. That dynamic is so it's so real.
I think there's also like
Totally.
something really fun about like our voices could not sound more different, especially when we're
Yeah.
in character.
Totally.
Yeah, but like
RC
the scenes were just so perfect for like for what we got to do. Like blasting comets off the top of the ship was probably like the
best.
moment where it's like, remember that one moment and we did that thing, and then it cuts to us just going
screaming.
nuts,
Screaming our heads off. Yeah, the best.
just so much fun. It's truly the best.
I think one of my favorite things about the Transformers universe is our characters can just stand on their ships in space casually.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot
Whatever.
not a lot of shows get to do that. Oh,
Yeah.
let's see.
You don't have to worry about the logistics of breathing.
Hey man, we're metal. We're heavy metal. Doesn't matter.
That's heavy metal. That's right. Jeremy, how's the signing going?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I got one more. This one's for Aaron. Also wants a Jetfire. Yeah.
Jetfire seems to
There we
be
go.
very popular.
Jetfire is very popular.
Mhm.
This one's for Aaron. If you're out there, thank you so much.
I was going to ask you a question, Jeremy.
Yeah.
This comes, and this is interesting, from Fate Lift 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Bumblebee film? If so, what did you think of it? That's
I
it could
have
be
seen it.
controversial.
I have seen the Bumblebee film. I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
I did
I've
too.
seen it several times now. I think it's great. I love like the beauty and the simplicity of it all. I love, all the Transformers movies, but sometimes they can get kind of like big and chaotic. That this one was just like, it was like a Steven Spielberg, like, it's like my pet monster movie. And it was great. It had so much heart. I absolutely loved it. Actually, I think I was watching it on the plane flying to a Wonder, I think.
Oh, right.
And then pointed to the screen to the person next to me. And I was like, that's me, kind of. And they were very confused and also didn't care. But that's okay. Because I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aw.
As I will
Wow.
tell you, Jeremy, as a writer, I'll sometimes be introduced to people, and they'll be, especially kids, and say, "Oh yeah, he wrote Transformers," and there's just no comprehension. There's no, because to much of our audience, these are real characters, and they're not written, and I don't have a job, so I never really get to brag about what I do. At least you guys sound awesome. Question for all voice actors.
You're the wind beneath our wings, Gavin.
Oh well,
seriously,
I'm the wind
You are.
beneath Randolph's wings, and he's the wind. I'm like the lower wind, I guess. So he's
listen. A lot
We
of us
need all the
actually
wind.
have wings. We have big metal wings, and we need all the wind we can get.
That's
We
true.
need the wind.
I'm probably more like the hot air, but beneath all of your wings. Let's see here. This is a good one. I like this. This is another one from Fate Lift, 1987, and this is for everyone. How did you feel about the Perfect Decepticon series finale, Soundwave's sacrifice, etc.? I guess I just may have spoiled something by reading that out loud. How do we feel about the episode? Starting with Deanna.
I loved the episode. I really did. And so when, at least for me, I mean, all of us, we go in and we record separately, right? So I was flipping through the script, kind of trying to get an idea of all what's going on, getting prompted obviously as we're recording, but getting to see it finally when it was all finished, it was really beautifully done. I was shocked again by Soundwave and how that all went down. Just going back and rewatching it, and I don't know, I just thought it was all beautifully done. I loved how they stuck it out. They came together again in the end, and I got pushed into that hug reluctantly, but
yeah, that was I was so
but I loved it. I thought it was really
that.
perfect.
Yeah, it was very calculated. A lot of work went into that last 5 minutes. A lot of thought, a lot of heart, and a lot of soul searching. Yeah. Ryan's
actually going to be
usually done.
Well, I was going to ask you, because Gavin, I know you were so instrumental in putting that last episode together, and I was going to. My question was, how did you guys finally arrive at that? I mean, it must have been so hard to take all the threads and finally tie it together to kind of end on this final note. I mean, that must have been a real challenge for you guys.
It was I will say it was a gift instead of a challenge. We had the gift of spending some time away from the show. Right. We as many animated shows and many shows are, sometimes you just end and you don't know if you're going to come back. You especially don't know if you're going to get to do a finale and say goodbye. And so we had some time away, and the band got put back together, the old band, as they say, and we really, because I think everyone on this panel will agree, it's really hard to do a satisfying finale.
Totally.
There's many brilliant TV shows that don't have a finale, and we were just determined. We wanted to say goodbye the best way possible to all characters. Everyone had to have agency. Everyone had to have a moment and be who they are, and also change into who they need to become. And we wanted to also surprise people, and so yeah, it was just a gift. It was work. Randolph pushed us harder on those last two specials than he had ever pushed us on previous seasons. He was determined to leave everyone with a smile and a tear at the same time, I think, on their faces. And we did, and thanks to all of you and to Hasbro and Boulder, it came together. And I'm a lifelong Transformers fan. I saw the '87 movie in the theater. I was traumatized with everyone about Optimus then. I went on to love Rodimus, by the way. I loved that fourth season of the show. As a lifelong fan, I can now look back at this Cyberverse legacy with pride and say, we did it. And that's, I say we, I mean everyone. Yeah,
so
totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jamie, how about you for the finale? How was that for you?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, you kind of hit on something that I was going to mention, which is that you managed to thread a needle with that finale that is so hard to do, where everybody gets the moment. like every I was so surprised by just how much was able to be kind of fit in there. And those last 5 minutes that you kind of brought up, like, what a beautiful and touching way to end this series that really does have this arc throughout it, from, no pun intended, an arc.
Yeah,
From
right.
woof, from something, that it goes, the show takes so many different turns through so many different tones, and then ending in this place of sort of celebration, remembrance. We've lost something, but ultimately everyone has kind of been brought together. It's also just like the scale of it is epic. I was rewatching recently and I was just so struck by like how much happens, and the fact that the storytelling is able to be so clear, so direct, and that everybody kind of, well, except for Shockwave, everybody kind of gets some resolution. There's like a real beauty to that. I was so impressed with it. And both parts of it, tonally, the two parts are quite different, but at the same time, the way it all ties together, I just think it's a really fitting end to something that felt so special to work on.
Yeah. No, same.
In being in the booth, I don't know how you guys felt, but like recording that last Bumblebee scene in the booth for the special, I was emotional because it was like, it was Bumblebee kind of saying goodbye to the life he knew, and it was like me on some level saying goodbye to this iteration of the character. And I went back and I watched it, and I mean, I don't know if I hope that it translates to everyone else, but like I don't even think that's Bumblebee anymore in that scene. Like, I think when I listen back to that scene, that's me. That's basically just Jeremy like saying goodbye.
It's so funny that you say that. One of the last thing that I recorded was we were getting the sounds of all of the Transformers chanting Cybertron. I think that was the last thing I did. And so my last moments working on this show were just me in a booth doing all of the different voices that I can do for this show with both fists in the air, just going like, Cybertron, Cybertron. And I felt so, I don't know, it was so joyful and exciting. And that felt just like it almost felt like I was getting to say thank you for everything that this show's done for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. I was just in my office screaming Cybertron. No one was listening and recording, but I do that a lot.
Let's get to a quick couple autographs. This one, I don't know if you can see, this is for Kai. Kai, if you're out there with a whirl.
That's awesome.
Cool.
That's a whirl. That's for you.
I might have to get one of those myself, Jeremy.
You will get one.
I didn't realize you were signing whirl autographs.
Kai, I don't know. He had me say, I think I actually recorded a message for him too. When I recorded people's voicemails, if they sent me proof that they voted in the last election, I was trying to get
love that.
engagement. And I think Kai had me record this. I don't know what it means. Maybe it's like a IDW reference. So if so, I'm sorry for being a noob, but he wants me to write, "You never know what could happen. An avalanche, a tiger, or an avalanche of tigers."
Well, whatever it is, it's funny.
Yeah,
great.
That's the Kai, and this is to
Cool.
Tex. Yeehaw! Nice shooting. Transform and roll out. This is for Tex right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Giddy up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy.
Very nice.
Does anyone else have a autograph shout out they want to do?
Yeah.
You want to,
Ryan?
No. Why don't you guys take
Gianna, jump
Okay.
on one there if you have one. You'd like to do.
Yeah, I have one. It doesn't say who to make it out to, but they want the quote, "Get off our planet, Tarn."
Ooh, I like that.
Nice.
So, Deanna, while you're signing that, I have a question from Autobot Sonic for Jeremy. This is a good one, I think. B, such a happy character, but what was it like to play the moments where he gets broken? For instance, when he thought Hot Rod died, or when Cheetor makes his sacrifice.
That's a great question. Love your reviews, by the way. He's a reviewer. He's a Cyberverse reviewer. He does some great reviews. You should check him out. Those are two of my favorite moments. I think like the two times I loved playing B the most was when he was at his quippiest, when he got to do his sort of like his classic hero you know, John McClane from Die Hard quips. Those were always my favorite. And the other ones were when I got to be vulnerable with him. Like with the Megatron scene, Cheetor sacrifice, all that stuff. Those are my favorite moments to play, because those were the ones where you could really like take a breath and dig in and really inhabit the character and like do your best to elevate and honor the material, you know? Because I think like it's those moments of honesty and those moments of vulnerability, like that's the special sauce. Like that's what makes it that's what makes the character identifiable. Really sort of, I think, you know, helps to bring the writer's vision to life. And that's the stuff that people are going to remember. So agreed. I always looked forward to those moments.
And you mastered them, because you still, that levity and the boyish, you know, happiness of B is still present in them. You know, it's not like a huge tonal shift. He's still B, just experiencing these hard things. And I think one of the nice things about Cyberverse is, compared to maybe other shows aimed at the age groups and, you know, like kids programming and toy related programming, is that we did get to do those things, right? We did get to have those dramatic moments. We're, you know, not I've worked on other shows that we don't get to go there, and so it's nice that this version of Transformers did, and compared to other shows. I was going to say real quick, you know, we had initially thought, well, let's do 40 minutes, you know, we're already at 41 minutes. But I think it's going well. We have a lot more questions to answer. Do you guys want to keep going? Maybe try to do this for, say, 60 minutes and then
totally.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm great with that.
Yeah, really appreciate it, everyone. And everyone who's tuned in and asking all these awesome questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ramble less and try to get through more. Deanna, this is a great one for you.
Okay.
From Autobot Sonic. Every other voice actor here plays a character that's been established or existing. Was it hard to create a voice for a new character like Shadow Striker? Did you feel more pressure?
I guess I kind of have a split answer. I mean, I could see if she was an existing character, right? Like some of you all had there. I think I would have had put pressure on myself to do it justice coming into this new iteration. So I think I more so felt like some freedom to get to create something new. And again, like that started a little bit in that casting process and that callback, where we dug in a little bit more, and she evolved though from there. But I don't know what I would have preferred, but I enjoyed getting to attack, you know, Shadow Striker from a totally, you know, fresh lens and just create her from the ground up. So yeah.
I mean, that says it all, right? I mean, yeah, really. I have no follow up to that.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Ryan, here's one for you from Cyberverse Grimlock. It's almost like you're asking yourself a question. I'm so confused.
It could be me.
Let's see here. Well, first, I should read the compliment. We all know that you did a very good voice for Grimlock. What was your favorite? What was the line you liked delivering the most? And which Dinobot is your favorite?
Oh man. You know, so I think it's worth mentioning that, you know, I grew up listening to Grimlock, right? So when I was reading Grimlock, I had his voice, the OG, you know, G1 Grimlock in my mind. And so anytime I got to be that Grimlock was my favorite. That was absolutely the best. There's an episode, I think, where Grimlock drinks a bunch of Wheeljack's like ultra juice.
Yeah, mega.
the mega energon, and he just goes completely bonkers. And there's this, anytime I got to start a phrase with me, Grimlock, was amazing. But then he was always apologizing in that episode.
Sorry.
So it was a lot of like, Grimlock, sorry! Which I always got such a kick out of. I thought it was just so much fun. But man, yeah, I mean, any Dino Grimlock line for me was a joy and a thrill. And you know, I didn't expect it, but you know, when the special came out and we got the scripts for the first part of the fourth season, the introduction of those Dinobots was like another dream come true, because you know, of course, Grimlock was always part of that team, and so to get Sludge and Slug and the other dummies, you know, to show up, which is the best, except for Swoop, who is not a dummy, but they're just, you know, in the cartoons, the old cartoons, they were always the comic relief of the show, I thought, because they were just like full of kind of like goofy hijinks, and you guys, Gavin and the team, you did it justice, and you honored the old school and made it great.
I will say that one of the biggest challenges in writing all 4 seasons was figuring out the best way to voice the Dinobots and figuring out their distinct personalities. Once again, Randolph was just focused like a laser in on how do we make them ours? How do we make them separate from each other, but all still kind of, you know, fun and dumb? Which, you know, watching the episode, I felt like it worked. They're fun. I would like to see more of them, you know?
And that was the thing. It's like we finally got them introduced, but I love that, in my mind at least, it ended with sort of a life to go on, as in like yes, the show's over, but in the world of Cyberverse, they're still living and they're still doing what they're doing, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's another thing for me that was very pleasurable about the finale, is that now in our heads there are stories continuing on. You know,
yes,
the you know, the show ended, but the universe lives on in our imaginations, and these things have been set up, and I love when shows do that. Jurassic Rex, I see we just kind of answered your question there for Ryan, but I'm just giving you a shout out. Ryan had asked, you know, or Jurassic Rex had asked Ryan, you know, how did you feel about, you know, Grimlock's team finally coming together? I'm like, I think we just touched that a little bit.
So good. Yeah, it was so great. And then finally get to having like our Voltron moment as well was supreme.
Oh yeah, combining, right?
Yeah, the combiner Enigma. So cool. So cool.
And I'm reading through, looking for more questions I can relay to everyone. Let's see.
While you do that, I can sign a thing.
Oh, I would love that. Yes, Jamie.
Yeah. I've got a couple here. I got 2. One of them doesn't have a name on it. It is a Nightbird print, and somebody wanted me to sign just the back with a quote from the show, which is the legendary Stormfall sword. So I will go ahead and do that right now.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I also have.
I was going to say, the robotic badass ninja getting hold of Windblade's sword is such a cool moment.
Oh man, the damage she could have done with that if only she hadn't been thwarted. Or I guess, hooray. Right. Okay, great. But he just said thanks. You're welcome. I'm very excited. I also have another one as well. If I can just knock out,
Yeah, let's do it.
We got one here for Taya, who wanted this extremely cute print of RC taking a selfie. So thank you so much, Taya.
RC selfies are the best.
I mean, the only kind of selfies, you know, we ever need.
Yep.
Jeremy, a nice shout out to Jetfire here from Autobot Sonic. Jetfire was so different from other Jetfires, easily one of my favorites! Exclamation.
Oh, very sweet.
Let's see here. Oh, well, you know, I think we touched on this a little bit, Jeremy. From Jurassic Rex, when playing Whirl, did you read the IDW comics to get an idea for the character, or were you surprised as to how different your Whirl was?
So, I will say, in general, I did a lot of research. I've told this story before, but embarrassingly, I did not know much about Transformers before I landed the show. And I knew I usually dislike when people, play these iconic characters and people are like, oh, did you like check out the source material? And they're like, nah, I figured I'd do my own thing with it. I know how important Transformers is to all of the fans, so I took myself to Transformers University. I was on the couch for hours a day with a pen and a notebook, watching every iteration of Transformers there was, taking notes. All of the YouTube series that are on. That's how I got to know a lot of you guys. I learned a lot about Transformers from you guys. So in general, I did a lot of research. However, for Whirl, I went my own way with it. I do think, well, I was going to, and then I talked to May, and May was like, this is a very different Whirl than the Whirl in the comics.
That's May Cat, right? Writer May Cat?
Yes. Yeah. So I was talking to May Cat, and, she was like, the Whirl in the comics is very different from this Whirl. So I don't think I even really I knew he wasn't going to bear a lot. And Gavin, tell me if I'm wrong here. But I didn't think he was going to be super similar to the one in the IDW comics. So I kind of just went with what was on the page and my conversations with Randolph. Randolph basically told me he's a helicopter with ADHD.
Right.
That's all he said. He was
Incredible.
like, he said he was probably the most. We had a policy of not doing super cartoony voices on the show. Like we wanted to keep them generally pretty grounded. Some of them got like increasingly more cartoony just because over the course of the show we were pushing them farther and farther because we were having fun. But he did say that like Whirl, he was like he's going to be pretty cartoony, probably more cartoony than most of the others. So yeah, we just started like, he said he wanted him to be like a little younger, a little more high pitched, a little more on edge. So that's why he's sort of tweaked a little bit. He's always like, oh my God, he's flying around. He's got no attention span.
What's interesting is how some of that evolved is Randolph was thinking about his movement and about how a helicopter is like kind of like a hummingbird and how it can zip around and he can go from bot mode to helicopter mode from bot mode. And I think that's some of where that kind of evolved is here's this hyperactive kind of personality that can be where he needs to be to save your butt when you need it and then move on. And then that kind of evolved. I remember him kind of, thinking that out in the room. I don't have a good Cyberverse toy of Whirl. I need one. I think there's one out there, but
I got one.
Yeah. Oh well, okay. I'll come visit yours then.
Come do it
in the city there. Ryan, I have a very serious question from you from Jaden.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I brace myself here.
What was your reaction when you read the script and saw that Shockwave would die?
I think it was bittersweet. Bitter because I love playing Shockwave. It's such a dichotomy from Grimlock, and I get to like really, dig into the the deeper stuff, my Batman register, as it were. And I came to really enjoy Shockwave as a character as well. I mean, he's always been kind of fascinating to me as this very logical, very sort of cold energy in the show, which I think was very different than a lot of the other characters. At the same time, like he had to pay for some of his indiscretions, and I think it made sense to me in the arc of the show for him to, ultimately he was trying to destroy everything. I mean, by ruining the Allspark, that was kind of like that would have been a big ending for the everybody.
Yeah.
And you just can't get away with that. And so it gave Cheetor that great moment of stepping into his guardian role like he was meant to.
Yeah.
So it was sad. I missed voicing Shockwave, but I do think that for a satisfying, it resulted in a satisfying end for him.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You never want to kill a character for drama's sake. It has to make sense within the context of the story and their character arc, and it made sense for him as it did whenever we lost a character in the show. It wasn't for shock value.
I like that was almost a pun.
Shock value. And on that note,
One's a writer.
Yeah, I know. I'm out of a job apparently. Jamie, what was your favorite RC Grimlock moment?
Oh man. I mean, we've talked about Perfect Storm a lot because that episode is it's just next level. I mean, so we don't record together, but oftentimes if there's something that needs to be said in unison, if Ryan has gone in before me, I'll get to hear what Ryan did so that I can tone match it. And there was a lot of that in that episode because there, moments like, no, like comet storm, supernova, things are happening that we're both
keeps
kind of
leveling up,
to.
right?
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. Just bigger and bigger. And that was the most I felt like I was right there with him, which was so kind of joyful and delightful. Not to mention just like, as an actor, nobody has ever said to me before, like, all right, so there's a giant bazooka and you're just shooting it off and laughing maniacally. So can we just hear a few versions of that? There's also a moment in that episode where RC imitates these giant winged creatures to try and lure them away from the ship.
Yeah.
And I humiliated myself in that sound booth because they told me, give us a combination of a whale and a hawk. And what you hear in the show is not what I initially did. I was on that mic like, ooh, ah! And then there was dead silence. And I looked out into the other room and everybody just like had their head in their hands. I was like, I've finally done it. I've gone too far and I'm going to be fired. A little bit of a digression, but beyond Perfect Storm, there's actually a moment in the finale that I didn't even get to act because RC is frozen at the time. She's time locked. But there's this incredibly like sweet, quick little moment where Grimlock is like, don't worry, RC, like we're going to get you out of this. And that I feel like is just their friendship. That just encapsulates what they have that's so special. That is like, he knows on some level that she can't even hear him, but he's just trying to reassure her. And I think that is what makes this relationship so special. They're pals and they're friends and they're having a great time together, but there's love. There's real love there. And I don't know, that's just such a joy to see.
That's awesome. That's such a cool moment you just brought up. Yeah. I'm trying not to get emotional thinking about that. That's nice.
But I gotta say, like for me too, I remember that moment in the show, and it when we were doing it with Ed, he actually made sure that we like gave it the attention that it needed, because it was one of the few moments where we got to have like a heartfelt or see a heartfelt connection between these two, and it's giving me chills just talking about it, because it really did, I think, show just again how, like you said, how much these characters cared for each other, and that kind of encapsulates, I think, a lot of what this show is like these robots who really care, and really care about their world and care about each other. So cool.
Yeah. I totally agree. That a lot of Transformers shows have human characters, and the focus on this show was the Cybertronian characters. And there's a conversation very early on in which I remember Randolph saying, we don't need human characters, because we're humanizing these characters as much as possible. We're getting into their emotions and their world and their concerns and their what they love and fear. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons this show started off kind of small. Not a lot of people knew about it. It had kind of a strange airing cycle because of streaming and cable and stuff. But I think the emotional connection to the characters resonated, and that's why we get to talk about it after 4 seasons, right? And I got to steer it back to you guys. It's because you portray them, so well and with so much skill and emotion. That being said, this is a perfect.
Give Ryan a big head.
This is I'm going to interrupt myself with the perfect follow-up question, which is this is from Jaden, and it's aimed at Deanna, and it's kind of a Deanna / Jeremy question, which is your favorite Bumblebee rival moment to play.
Ooh.
And we've got Grim and RC BFFs, and then we've got a very, very emotional connection between Shadow Striker and B in a completely different way.
Right.
Which was a
anti BFFs.
I know.
I mean, I loved season 1, episode 9, right? Shadow Striker, where we hear more about that, and we get that history and that rivalry, and get more of a peek into that and where it all comes from. So I love that episode for both of them. And then in the final episode, when she is tasked with, getting rid of him, and he thinks that she's going to do it. I feel like there's so many of these like close moments where, all faith is lost, but then she redeems herself. So that's one of my favorite little moments between them.
Yes, the Shadow Striker episode in season 1 is one of my all-time favorite episodes. Deanna, you killed it. You're great in that episode, and it's so much fun because it involved a lot of like what I talked about earlier. My favorite Bumblebee stuff is because he got to be kind of the quippy hero guy, which. Some of that stuff was siphoned off a little later by Hot Rod. Hot Rod kind of started to become more of the quippy hero guy later on. But at that point, he was still sort of Hot Rod-ish as well too. So that was my favorite. My favorite line in that. Wait, I got to do this because I'm an old and I don't know how to turn off my notifications. Please hold. Do not disturb.
I turned on Do Not Disturb.
Sorry, I've been trying to figure that out.
Was that Teletrans speaking back to you?
Yeah. We're about to become self-aware. It's not even us. My favorite line in that episode, because it's so weird and funny, is
I know what you're going to say.
Eddie, who uses that? Because it is like when you think about it, I'm like, well, I've never seen a robot use a machete before. But yeah, in the last episode where it looks like she's betrayed him again, kind of like the hurt that Bumblebee feels in that moment, especially it goes to show how far they had come. Right. And then it causes you to question that. And then when she comes through, it solidifies it all over again, like how great her arc was and how strong their bond became sort of throughout it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say as a viewer, and as we had intentions on paper, and then we get the scripts out, watching the scene, watching the performance. What I loved is that there's no debate in Shadow Striker's mind. Of course, she's not going to do it. And it's almost like the way she communicates to B is like, yeah, you idiot. Of course I'm not going to, But, yeah. Right. I love that nuance to the, actual performance. Is like, she's not even wasting time. It's like, yeah. Like I said, I could gush about Shadow Striker's arc all day. I will shut myself up. We are at an hour and 3 minutes. So we will start winding this thing in. I can't believe how much fun I've had, by the way.
This is great.
Thank you so much.
Gavin, I'm going to knock out some more autographs here, and then I want to talk about your comic book. How about that?
Oh, yeah. A little
do that. Let's do that.
So
I have a few too to look at.
We have a Perceptor. I don't know if you see this. This was in hindsight sort of a bad idea. This background. This is for Robin. This is Perceptor. Very perceptive. Not everyone is as perceptive as you. Robin, also my mom's name, and for a second I thought my mom bought a print, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, that was so sweet." She had
so
no idea what I
cute.
was talking about. Like, I bought a prince. That is for
To
Robin. This is
Mom.
also for
Thanks.
Taya
So
with the
sweet.
bumblebee. It's the same as my background. If you can't see it, thank you, Taya. That is for
Nice.
you. We got Joe with the bee moonshot. Get in there.
Oh, the moonshot. Love
That
it.
is for Joe. Way to be, buddy.
Nice.
This is for now. NAO from all the way from Japan.
Oh, cool.
Sent me a very
Cool.
message. Now said they could use some cheering up. They wanted a Jetfire is in there somewhere. So if you're ever falling, don't forget you can fly. Thank you so
Aw.
much.
Aw.
I like that.
All the way from Japan. This is to Vec, little Bumblebee and Percy in Rescue Bots Academy.
Oh, cool.
Who said that Rescue Bots and Rescue Bots Academy inspired them to pursue a career in emergency services. So
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Oh,
Very
cool.
There's that.
That's awesome.
thank you for rolling to the rescue.
Yeah, much needed.
I think this is Vec again. Also wanting a whirl. Here's a little whirl action. Screen saying he's fine because he always is.
Yeah, that's right.
And this
We could
is,
learn a little bit from
Sean.
Whirl.
Another Bumblebee for Sean. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We're making our way through these.
Love
We're gonna
it.
get these autographs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
I've got a few too.
yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
do it,
shout
Diana.
out to
Oh,
These
Aaron.
are so cool.
Got this cool
It's a great
art.
picture.
The artist is Emily Hightower, and her Instagram is on there, but it's at Ink Pocket. She's awesome, and
That
did
is-
these beautiful Shadow Strikers for me. So we got one for Aaron, one to Rex. Thank you, Rex. Getting a cool one from Emily, and then one to George
that's awesome.
in Astoria. What's up, George?
Aren't you?
Hey.
I don't want to speak for everyone. I'll speak for myself and ask
Yeah.
you guys: aren't you guys just blown away at the fan art that we've seen on Tumblr
Yes.
and Twitter
Yes.
and
Incredible.
online
Oh my
and Instagram?
gosh. The whole fan response has been so
Beautiful.
amazing. It's so
Yeah.
exciting and cool, especially
It's-
like
it's
for
so cool.
characters that I don't know. I have so much love for the folks who like have kind of claimed Acid Storm as like an
I know.
LGBTQ icon.
I love
Like I
Acid
love it.
Storm.
It makes me so happy.
It made
And
us
Clobber,
happy in the
too.
room. Acid Storm's a solid win from Cyberverse.
It's best, you know, and it's representation, man. It's awesome. It's so cool.
And I love people who celebrate the friendship stuff too. Like I've seen
Yes.
a lot of artwork of like robots being friends, especially RC and Grimlock.
Yeah.
And then there's some hilarious like conjecture about romance between robots, which I think is hilarious. that
We love
shows
it.
up in
It's
some artwork.
the emotions, right? It
Yeah,
gets to,
right.
you know, I wish I knew the name of the artist. There's an artist that did 2 portraits of Bee, Hot Rod, and Cheetor all palling up and like posing together. And I still think about that art. It's just it's so touching when you see someone creative making this art that exemplifies exactly what your intention was with a character or with a show. It's like, oh, they get it. You know, they knew what we were trying to do. And you know, it's if any of you watching right now have made any of this art or are making art, you rock. Simply enough.
Yes.
For sure.
I will find one last question here, and maybe it's one that we can apply to everyone. Also, everybody, let us know what you're up to and where where everyone can find you online and stuff, so they can, you know, follow what you do next. So I will look for a good final question, and why don't we go through?
Can I show
oh
a
yeah,
quick one? I've got this is one of my first that I picked up, and it's a character that only shows up in this 4th season special. This is a double crosser, and the request was to put the quote, "I'll give you a double headache," from one of Double Crosser's voices, who I think were kind of like my the inspiration was like a teenage version of like an Abbott and Costello.
Oh, right. Ryan, I didn't even realize that you did double cross her.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
Yeah, that was
It
a
was
fun
very,
one.
very
And
funny.
it was like the anti Rack and Ruin, which I think is just so great. You know, there's just so much fun polar opposite stuff we can play with these. You know, it's just the best.
So good. I would love. When do we get our like Rack and Ruin double crosser team up issue? Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Artists out there, let's see it. Let's get
out there.
Let's get some fan art.
Yeah,
Okay,
seriously, the gauntlet has been thrown for that fan art.
Yeah, man.
So final question, and this is for everyone from Little Ms. FP. For everyone, what was the hardest scene for you to do?
Ooh.
Let's start with Jamie.
Because I made a sound.
Yeah.
There is a scene where Chromia, who usually is like so cool, calm, and collected, sees the Ark being destroyed and thinks that all of her friends are gone, including Windblade, who is like her heart. And recording that, just kind of knowing what I was seeing, I didn't really have a visual reference for it other than what's in the script. And her response to it is like a big no, you know, like a big scream of a no. And I knew that I really wanted that moment to have, you know, like an emotional honesty without being your sort of trademark, kind of stereotypical, like, no, like,
Totally.
and finding a way to really put my heartbreak into that and keep it real and keep it grounded. And really, you know, because this is a show that it's a cartoon, but it is, as we've discussed, it really runs the gamut in terms of emotional resonance. And I just remember really wanting that moment to be real. And you know, when I saw the final product, I felt like I had done everything I could, and it was, but it was heavy. You know, most of the characters that I play get to be sort of like, you know, fun and kind of kicky, but that was like a really real moment, and I felt, you know, it was a challenge, but I was proud of my work.
Yeah, no, it really landed, and yeah, you reminded me of that great dynamic between Chromia and Perceptor, and that part of the story.
Yeah,
so good. Speaking of Perceptor, Jeremy, with all your characters, you know, I think we know the B voice box scene is one of the hardest. Was there a hard scene for one of your other characters?
Yes, there was actually, funnily enough, for Perceptor. So Perceptor, I want to say, was the hardest character in general to nail. Because he had a lot of rules. There was sort of like a sandbox that I needed to play in, because we had to find just the right cross section. We knew from the beginning that we didn't want him to be like a disembodied computer voice.
Right.
Like, we didn't want him to be like sort of AI, even though like sometimes he can like kind of come across that way. So it was very hard to like find the humanity, so to speak, in Perceptor. But also, he is very logical. He's very methodical. He's very even-keeled. So my prototype was Spock. So I sort of started with Spock to find that kind of character who was very logical, but also, you know, did have sort of some gradations. So I ended up mixing him with, like, he's a little bit Spock. He's a little bit the Doctor from Doctor Who, because he thinks he's smarter than everyone else, and he probably is. You know, I thought it was important. Also talking to May when I was asking her about Perceptor, and she was like, "He needs to be a badass." So I took those and sort of added just a hair of Batman. I ripped off a little bit of Kevin Conroy, just a little bit. You two now. Gave him that sort of like that kind of growl. So he in general is very hard. And then the scene where he's talking to Hot Rod in season 3, and he's trying to motivate Hot Rod to be a leader, where he says to him, he goes, "We need a leader." It's really hard to find a way to make Perceptor impassioned
right,
but also still even keeled.
right.
To make him human and vulnerable, but sort of keep him with that wall that is still up, where you still don't always know where he's coming from. And I remember going over that scene over and over again and trying to hit each one of those points and really get them to sing in a way that was impactful, because that was a really important scene. You know, that was the scene that sort of sets Hot Rod off onto the rest of his journey.
Yeah. No, that's a great. Oh, I love that arc. That whole little dynamic with the Rebel crew was a pleasure to write, pleasure to watch, pleasure to listen to performed. Yeah, Percy and where are all my friends online who can help me? I'm blanking on our awesome Dead End, our Decepticon. Like their dynamic was fantastic. Ryan, how about you? Hardest scene to perform.
Man, that's a tough one. I had so much fun with this that I feel like it wasn't hard until the end.
Right.
You know, I remember there were hard moments with making. This was actually something I think worth mentioning. Making Dino Grimlock not just some kind of roaring monster, but to infuse emotion into him while he was in that mode. And I felt like, like when in the very beginning, when he first awakes and is looking for his friends, he's incredibly distraught, and there's like a certain intention behind this searching. It's urgent, and it's sort of sad when he discovers that his friends are gone. And I think those were tough, but I think really the hardest moments I had were at the end with like we kind of mentioned with the sort of heartfelt moments between Grimlock and RC, where he was trying to protect her and solve the mystery of this time freeze and make sure everybody was safe. Those were I think some of the more involved acting moments for me, and the ones that I actually like felt the most satisfied with at the end.
Yeah, that's interesting. And all the while, also Grimm is managing like the Three Stooges, basically, right? Yeah. Like it's bouncing back and forth between.
Yeah, he becomes kind of like a dad. Right.
Yeah.
Heartfelt.
De facto dad of like the most dysfunctional kids on the planet. Yeah.
Totally. Who are also very sweet. They're like, you could tell they've got like good hearts and good natured, but they're just total troublemakers, and they need a strong Grimlock hand to guide them. And man, I was very happy to do that. It was so much fun.
That played as well as super fun. I had I was in the room. That was written by Dan and Zach, but I was in the room with them. We all broke together, and I was very hyper focused on the finale with Masai and with Randolph, but getting to watch the Dinobot special that leads up to the finale was just pure joy for me, because I didn't have as much skin in the game, as they say, because that was written by the other two gentlemen, and so that I really just got to watch as a fan and enjoy. And wow, did it play! And I still need my Volcanicus toy, by the way. So Hasbro out there.
Listening. Get that happening.
Deanna, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of echo what Ryan says. Like most of the time, I mean, it was really fun. Like this is one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. So going in, it was typically like the sessions. I always looked forward to it. But I will say probably the beginning. So maybe the first couple of episodes, truly finding her voice, because that sort of laid the groundwork for what was to come. And, going back weeks later, months later, sometimes, and matching that and like staying in that character. So I think for me, it was those first few sessions and really like figuring out who she was, where the sound was coming from. We kind of played around with different things at first, and I not getting too witchy I remember sometimes what's a thing with her voice in those beginning stages. So I think just like establishing that and who this character is and sounds like, and keeping that consistent. So it was more those like beginning stages of Shadow Striker. But it was such a joy. And then there was one session I'm remembering where there was a lot of screaming and yelling and battle cries involved, and I left that session pretty exhausted. I don't know which one that actually fell into, but
it could have been many.
It could have. I know, it's like, you know,
she a lot of action. Yeah.
Yes.
I want to do sort of one last autograph push, but first, Gavin, I want to talk about your comic book.
Oh, yes.
Concrete World.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing it up. As everyone knows, I'm a writer on the show. I've written a lot of science fiction and have a new graphic novel that'll be hitting comic stores pretty soon.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's called The Concrete World. It's kind of a cyberpunk hardcore sci-fi. Yeah, we're going to be we're working with distribution right now with Diamond Distribution, get it out into the comic stores. Yeah, 15 years in the making.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Congratulations.
But yeah, thank you so much. Concrete World.
Is it multi volumes, or like is it
It's the complete collection. Yeah. So the book is a collection of a web comic that we ran in the early 2000s.
Right.
Even before Comixology existed. It was like the Wild West of web comics back then. So we had a good readership, but there was not an organized movement online to find an audience. So what's exciting for me about this the first print edition, is that it's going to get in front of people that, you know, never knew we existed. And we're going to reach a whole new audience now that it's, you know, on the printed page, as they say. Cool. Well, I will scoot back and let you guys take this away. I want to say thank you to Jeremy. Thank you to everyone for coming on board and doing this. Thank you for everyone who watched and who is getting autographs and supporting the charity. This has been a blast. So I thank you.
Dude, Gavin, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gavin.
This rocks. You guys rock. We gotta figure out other shows to work on so we can keep doing this, right?
I'm here for it.
Yes.
Leave your suggestions in the comments.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And I will exit this by asking everyone, where can we find you? And you know, on your socials, as they say, and just any messages you have for everyone watching. So Deanna, I'll start with you.
Sure. I just really quickly want to say, hey Taya, thank you. Got this one signed for you and for Abigail. So thank you so much. You can find me. My Instagram is just the Deanna McGovern. My name's up there on that screen, so you guys can see it. So yeah, follow me there for updates. And thank you all so much for the love and the support. The fans are incredible. So thank you all for being here today. And Jeremy, thank you for getting this together.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Ryan, where can we find you?
Hi guys, I'm at Andy's Ryan on Instagram and Twitter. That's pretty much where I sort of exist in the social worlds. Also, by the way, to do a quick shout out, I got something here for Rexy and another one here for Anthony. So what's up, y'all? Thank you guys.
You guys are teaching nice writing. I'm like a fourth grader on these things. Like,
Jeremy, it's part of your charm, really.
Yeah.
That's
sorry, guys. Sorry to pay for.
But actually, one thing that I want to mention, I'm actually starting work on a new musical that's going to the Delaware Theater Company here on the East Coast. It's a video game musical. It's called Otherworld, written by Hunter Bell and Jeff Bowen and Ann McNamee. Awesome. I've been part of this thing for about 5 years now, but it's this amazing show, basically about these two people who get sucked into the video game that their parents made to unravel the mystery of their death, and all this other wacky, cool stuff happens. It's an incredible show. I play the big bad of the show, the shockwave of the show, as it were, but even bigger. Wow. So I can't say any more than that. But we will be opening in Delaware in February. We're going to play through March, and then hopefully the next step for the show will be to come to New York City and open on Broadway in the next year or so.
It's amazing.
So great.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Congrats,
look for Otherworld musical. It's going to be a really cool one. So that's my next big thing. Yeah.
Wow.
And also thank you all, by the way. Just like make sure I just shoot as much gratitude out into the world as much as possible. You guys are all amazing. Gavin, I'm so grateful for you, man. Thank you for being the amazing guy you are, for writing the material you've given us. It's just such a gift, and I think I can speak for myself and everyone.
As part of a chorus of amazing writers in the writers' room, Randolph, every day with him was like writer's boot camp. I learned something every day. May Cat, Zach Atkinson, Dan, all the amazing freelance writers. It was as joyous for us as as your voice acting is. So much love to everybody. And Jamie.
Yeah. Hi. You can always follow me on Instagram at Jamie B. That's Jaime. One of the million spellings of Jamie available. That's the one that I use. And everybody has just been thanking the fans. And I really do specifically want to say, like, for those of you who have found in this world representation and something that looks like you or feels like you, whether that's with Acid Storm or any of the other characters, like as a queer person myself, working on a show that has an audience that really feels that resonance is so meaningful to me. And I am so grateful for what this show has given me in terms of how it's made me think about my own identity, and seeing the way the fans have responded to that is just so it's pretty transcendent. It's really cool. In our industry, we don't always get to connect in that way. And I feel, I'm really grateful for all of you. And I hope that you can feel some of that love coming back towards you from me. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well said. I know. How do we follow that up, Jeremy?
Poorly. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna let Gavin go. I'm gonna stick around. I got a bunch of these. They're signed. I'm gonna shout everyone out. But before that, I'm at Mr. Jeremy Levy on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys again so much for doing this. This started, as something I wanted to do for my mom, and you guys were just all so sweet to jump in and help me out. I wore this shirt today in honor of my mom. I don't know if you can kind of see it right here. This was the first piece of Bumblebee merch I received, and it was from my mother.
Oh.
When she heard that I got the role, she went straight to the kiosk in the mall, the guy that made t-shirts, and she tried to explain that her son was a bumblebee. And there was a bit of a language barrier there, but the two of them, they really figured it out. He had one where like it was an actual bumblebee, which in fairness I thought would have been awesome. But eventually he went through his book and he had this sort of like this knockoff bumblebee-esque. I don't know if you can see it. It's a very unlicensed. Sorry, Hasbro, but it's fine. No one actually goes Bumblebee. It is my favorite piece of Bumblebee merch, so I wanted to wear it for my mom today. Go check out Stop Sarcoidosis, Foundation for Sarcoidosis.com, and thank you everyone so much who bought a print and made us able to throw some money.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
You're amazing,
all right.
Jeremy.
Well, I will sign off with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
have
Gavin.
a great rest of your
Thank you,
weekend. Stay
Gavin.
safe. It's a pleasure putting faces to these bots' voices. So, all right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thanks, Beth.
Bye. Thank you, Gavin.
I'm going to run